This segment is sponsored by BitcoinBling.com. I'm Rachel Urbanski with Click on This. We're here in DC for Bitcoin in the Beltway. For those of you who don't know what it is, let's go find out. And I am with Jason King, the man himself. He is the convention chair. Now, what are you hoping that people are going to get out of this convention?
I think they're just going to, I hope they just realize how wonderful Bitcoin is, and this is just supposed to be a celebration of all that Bitcoin and blockchain technology has to offer. We just tried to bring the best and brightest and the most interesting stuff going on in Bitcoin here together for everybody to see.
And so it's a celebration and both educational, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, come and find out what's new in Bitcoin.
And now you are involved in a charity called Sean's Outpost. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so Sean's Outpost we're a homeless outreach, the largest cryptocurrency-based charity in the world. We fed over 85,000 meals to the homeless in the last 14 months. We run a 9-acre homeless sanctuary called Satoshi Forest in Pensacola, Florida. And we have outreaches in Pensacola, Florida, Dallas, Texas, Toronto, and Vancouver, Canada. And yeah, so we think that Bitcoin can do a lot towards innovation in the nonprofit sector, and we're proud to be sort of on the forefront of charities in Bitcoin.
Now, he did something a little crazy, not your average person can do. He ran across the country. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so I just got done with Bitcoin Across America, which is on January 26th, I left from Miami Beach, Florida, and I ran to San Francisco, California, physically ran to San Francisco, California. I got in on June 7th into San Francisco at AT&T Field, which is where the Giants play, and so total trip was 3,237 miles.
Hey, I'm Steve Mangus here with Click on This, and I'm here with Emily from Bitpay. So Emily, please let us know a little bit about what Bitpay does and what services you provide.
Okay, well, Bitpay is a payment processor for Bitcoin, which means that we allow merchants to accept Bitcoin through any business platform, and we can process those transactions with daily settlements so that the merchant isn't liable for the price volatility. It also creates a much more secure payment network where there's no chargebacks, you don't have to deal with the middleman, and it's pretty seamless. So we're trying to encourage mass adoption of Bitcoin by reaching out to merchants and saying, if you accept Bitcoin, here's a really easy way to do it, and you will open yourself to a whole new network of people that want to use a secure way of paying.
So to this point, how many merchants or what type of merchants are you seeing Bitcoin being used from the most so far? Well,
you have online retailers, of course. It's pretty simple when you have an online checkout process. So that's a big target for us. But you also have a lot of small mom and pop type merchants that like to experiment with Bitcoin, and the reason being is that they lose a lot of revenue paying credit card companies a transaction fee. There's no transaction fee with Bitcoin.
Zero transaction fee?
Zero. So you can accept Bitcoin, and you don't have to have that transaction fee that you have to then turn around and pay to the credit card companies, and you're also not liable for fraud chargebacks. So there's definitely something attractive about that if you're a merchant with pretty low margins.
So where would you encourage people to start using Bitcoin and to kind of get into it and start, I believe the term's called mining Bitcoin and things like that, to acquire it?
Like individual users?
Yes, yeah, individual users as well.
Well, for merchants, if you want to accept Bitcoin, you can go to bitpay.com and just create an account, sign up, and we make it pretty easy for you. Connect it to your bank account, settle that via ACH daily. So I would say for your individual users, just go buy some Bitcoin. There are a lot of wallets, there are a lot of services out there that make it very easy. For iOS, you have Hive and Fiva, and those are wallet services. And then you can buy them on any exchange, Bitstamp.
Excellent. Now, I got one more question to ask you. Being a sports fan myself, I did see some news recently that Bitpay, I believe, will be sponsoring a bowl game this December for college football.
Yes, that's right. We have announced our sponsorship for the Bitcoin Bowl, the Bitcoin St. Petersburg Bowl. And, Bitpay made that happen. And our thinking on that was that we could encourage mass adoption by introducing, sports fans, kind of introducing sports fans to Bitcoin, as well as introducing, Bitcoin fans to sports. I'm just kidding. But no, we're really hoping that the Bitcoin Bowl will be a huge commercial event that will be both educational and really beneficial for the Bitcoin community. And it's just the first of many steps that we're trying to take to bring Bitcoin into the mainstream.
Yeah, there's not much of a larger audience than college football bowl games for sure. So I hope that works out for you. Thank you for talking with us. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
I'm Rachel Urbanski. We're at Bitcoin at the Beltway. Next to me is Perianne Boring. And I have a couple questions for you. Why are you an advocate for Bitcoin?
Well, I first got introduced in Bitcoin when I was working on the Hill. I worked for a member of the House of Representatives, and I worked on economic policy, and I did work on the Jobs Act, which is a bill that had to do with peer-to-peer lending and crowdfunding. And while Bitcoin did not make it into the Jobs Act, we had a lot of discussions around Bitcoin. That was kind of my introduction to what this new technology is. And as a student of monetary policy, I just found it absolutely fascinating. And so I just kept up with it. And then a little bit later, I left the Hill and went to work in the media, and I was working for a broadcast news network station as a financial reporter, and I made Bitcoin one of the topics that I covered on my finance show. And so I became one of the first people to actually talk about Bitcoin on TV, and it was absolutely fascinating industry to be a part of as a reporter, especially last year, 2013, when the price increased over 6,000% in 1 year. You just can imagine as a reporter, it was just like the dream thing to get to follow, because there was so much going on, all these scandals were happening, so it was a lot of fun. And I've recently decided to leave the job in television, and I'm now, I've launched a consulting firm, and I'm 100% working in this Bitcoin space, and just launched a couple months ago, just getting off the ground, but it's so much fun, so glad I'm here, and it's great to have a Bitcoin conference in DC where I'm living and working today.
That's great to hear. Now, a lot of people don't know just how easy Bitcoin is. Can you tell us just how practical it really is?
Right, so I talk about this a lot. I have a column on Forbes where I talk about Bitcoin often, and I say that it's cheaper, easier, and safer than credit cards. So with Bitcoin, transactions are instant. So the average Bitcoin transaction is about 7 minutes to go through all the processing. And credit cards or debit cards, they could take weeks or months before the merchant actually gets paid. And from the time a customer swipes their card or enters it digitally through an e-commerce transaction, there's about 9 steps that have to take place from the time the card is swiped until the merchant gets paid. And this is a very antiquated system. I mean, it's been around for decades now. And there's security breaches that happen all the time. The Target scandal is a great example of this. But all these steps along the way, the fees are getting tacked on. And that's kind of what slows it down. Bitcoin has vertically integrated this whole process. We're moving technology forward, and it's faster, cheaper, and safer than credit card transactions.
You had mentioned earlier that you bank with Bitcoin. Is Bitcoin the only currency you use?
Oh, no, absolutely not. I mean, my life would be very difficult. Hopefully one day it'll be easier to live on Bitcoin, but we're still in the earliest days of Bitcoin. So right now we're building the infrastructure for the industry. So we're building, the wallet servicers, the merchant servicers. All these companies are still new. It's a lot of startups just getting off the ground. There's, obviously going to be all sorts of bumps in the road whenever there's new technology that comes out. So there's a quote from a friend of mine, Eric Martindale of Bitpay, and he always says that when Bitcoin is invisible is when it will be mainstream. So it's still a very complicated industry to navigate today, but the industry is working very fast to make it more user-friendly, and I look forward to the day that grandma can figure out Bitcoin, or grandma can figure out how to use Bitcoin to bank or to do basic financial transactions.
Okay, and just one last question. What would you say to someone who completely does not know what Bitcoin is? What was the one thing you would want them to know?
I would just say that it's an alternative to the financial system in place. So one thing that really spurred my interest in economic policy was 2008 financial collapse, where I'm from Florida, where the housing market just bottomed out, and people, all around me were, getting kicked out of their houses, losing their homes, losing their jobs, losing their retirement account, all reasons that it wasn't really their fault, and they didn't really understand what was going on. And I was in school at the time, and I was studying economic policy, so I was studying this, historic economic collapse in real time. And what I learned was that our country's economic system is really, unsustainable. And Bitcoin kind of, I think, was birthed out of these frustrations out of a lot of people that were really hindered in, the housing collapse that wasn't their fault. So if you have frustrations with the financial system that has been in place, or if you see something about the financial system in place that kind of irks you like it did me, you just look into Bitcoin as an alternative. Or it's not something that's supposed to like overthrow the dollar or overthrow government currencies. It's just an alternative to what has been in place for decades.
Thank you so much, Perianne.
Absolutely, thanks for your time.
Thank you for watching this segment of Click on This. Now get out there and buy your Bitcoins, and don't forget to check out bitcoinblink.com.
I'm Emily with Bitpay, and you're watching Click on This.
Hi, my name is Perianne Boring. I'm the author of the Boring Bitcoin Report on Forbes.com, and you're watching Click on This.